Broken. Chapter 10. Changes. Jacob refused to tell me anything that he told Dean, which led me to believe he used his protective best friend speech. I could only imagine what he told him. I needed to see him. The encounter at the mechanic shop wasn't enough for me. I needed to be with him and talk to him. I grabbed my phone and texted Dean's phone. Hey, I was wondering if you wanted to see each other soon. Although the thought of seeing him drives me wild, I can't help but wonder if I was something to him at all. Was he only seeing me because of the trial? He did say at Chuck's he would have saved anyone in my position without question. I slapped my forehead. Of course he would. He is an undercover cop. He would do anything to help someone else. I'm fooling myself thinking I'm someone special. I sat down on my couch and sighed. How could I be so narcissistic? A beep came through, and I grabbed my phone a little too quickly. Sure, what do you have in mind? I wanted to see you sometime this week, but if you want to meet up sooner, up to you. I needed to know if he was just hanging out with me because he wanted to talk about the trial, or if he wanted it to be something more like I did. I was interested in him. That wasn't hard to figure out. But did he know that? Yeah, actually, would you like to come over for a movie and pizza night? After sending the text, I wondered if it was too forward. Sure, I can come over around 7:30 p.m. Would you like me to bring something? My feelings were all giddy from reading that he was actually coming. I almost couldn't think straight. No, I got everything here. Just bring yourself and I will see you at 7:30. I smiled, sending the message, and searched my kitchen. I have nothing. No chips, ice cream, or anything movie night related. Glancing at the clock, and it being only 4:45 p.m., I had time, and a trip to the store is needed. Excitedly, I grabbed my sweater and headed out to the local grocery store nearby. As I was browsing the aisles, I was trying to figure out what kind of snacks Dean would be into. Was I supposed to get snacks that I would eat and see if he eats it? Maybe that will break some ground on how much we have in common. Sour cream and onion chips, chunky monkey ice cream, popcorn, and cola. Seems like a good combination. The only thing left was the pizza, but that could be ordered later. I was getting more excited about this night as the clock ticked by, especially on the ride home. It was like my whole body began to tingle, knowing that in a few mere hours, I would see him. As I started to get the snacks and bowls at 7 p.m. and the blankets on the couch, it was really coming together. It almost looked like one of those neat movie night pictures you would see on social media. I decided to put on my faded blue ripped jeans with a nice flowing blue blouse. I put a small amount of makeup on, enough to highlight my natural beauty, and made loose curls with my straightener for my blonde hair. I made sure to get a few glances in the mirror to make sure the look was perfect. Good enough, I thought. A ring at my doorbell leaves me breathless. My heart racing as I start to open the door. The handsome Superman-looking man in the doorway, his scent of sweet pine and rain hitting me like a ton of bricks, making me calmer than I have ever been. Just being around him made me feel safe, which I had never had because of Curtis. It was like he took all my anxiety away. I sighed silently. In Dean's hands was 2 bottles of wine, 1 Chardonnay, 1 Merlot. I cocked my head to the side in amusement, staring at the bottles. I didn't know what you liked, red or white, so I got both, he announced. I smiled at the nice gesture and then mentally facepalmed myself. Of course. He brought wine. Why didn't I think of that? Here, I was buying cola like it was an 8-year-old birthday party. Should I make him indulge me in ghost stories and braiding hair next? Jeez. Thank you. That is actually what I totally forgot to get. I smiled, putting the white wine in the fridge and cracking open the red. I watched Dean step into my bachelor pad and began looking around. It didn't take him long to see absolutely everything because my place was so small. He grabbed some of the pictures that were in frames of my parents and I. That was our trip to the Grand Canyon. I just had to see it when I was 10. According to my mother, I wouldn't talk about anything else for weeks. I chuckled. He chuckled with me. Yeah, I can tell in this picture you were just over the moon happy. I smiled and poured 2 glasses of Merlot, grabbing the bowl of sour cream and onion chips with me on my way to the couch. I'm going to order pizza from a small pizza shop a few blocks away called Pies. They have a great pepperoni pizza. Is that okay with you? I asked. He made his way to the couch and sat down. Sure, I don't mind a good pepperoni pizza. I smiled and grabbed my phone and began to order. Once finished, I grabbed the remote for the TV and started to flip through all the movies. Let's pick one out before the pizza gets here so we don't have to sit here for hours and decide. He nodded, and we both scrolled through multiple movies. Please tell me you're not going to make me sit through something like The Notebook. I rolled my eyes. No, because I don't even like The Notebook. I mean, I'm not saying I don't love me a good rom-com, but as for The Notebook, I'm not a huge fan. I think I could settle for something action-packed. That would be great. How about he grabbed the remote from me and searched through a few more movies before stumbling on The Mummy. This is a classic. Mummies, action, spells. A good-looking young Brendan Fraser, I chimed in. He chuckled. Yeah, that too. But I mean, he's not that good-looking, though, right? I glanced at Dean, who had his eyebrow raised in curiosity. Do I hear hints of jealousy, Mr. Jameson? I asked. He scoffed sarcastically. What? Me? No, of course not. I giggled. Oh, no, of course not, because that would be absolutely ridiculous, right? My thoughts exactly. So, The Mummy? We both agreed and began to talk a little before the pizza arrived. So, what did Jacob tell you at Chuck's today? I asked. He looked lost in thought for a few moments before answering. Oh, that. He told me something on the lines of she was been through a lot to be nice to her. That if I really liked you, then I should take things slow and work up to things. And if I didn't like you at all, then I should only see you to talk about trial or police business. I can't believe Jacob would say something like that to him. At first, for a moment, it honestly pissed me off. The more I thought about it, the more I knew he was just being a good friend. More like a brother who wanted to protect his sister from being hurt. He knew how much I had gone through because we had discussed it on multiple occasions when I felt like sharing. I didn't exactly have a big brother to protect me, and I had mentioned to Jacob that I didn't have any siblings. So, I honestly believed that he decided, since we weren't going to date, that he would take it upon himself to step into that brotherly role. But now, thinking even more about it, he told Dean if he didn't like me, he shouldn't see me for anything other than trial or police business. So, why was he here now? You said that he told you not to see me unless it was pertaining to the trial. Are we going to talk about the trial tonight, or... I trailed off. Did you want to talk about the trial? He asked. No, not really. I wanted this to be a pizza and movie night, which is why I asked him over. I hated that all the times we spent together so far were just pertaining to my past and the incident. I wanted to spend time with him to get to know him more. No, that's not really why I asked you here, I told him honestly. He nodded. Exactly. I didn't really come here to talk about the trial or anything else pertaining to that, he answered back. So that means, he smirked, that I like you? Yes, he finished. My heart began to flutter more than ever before. I was always questioning if he had a woman in his life or if it meant something to him at all. Now, hearing it with my own ears that he does care for me, I just couldn't describe how I feel. I'm sorry, is there a problem with that, or? He asked, concerned. Of course he would think like that, because I was sitting here like a dimwit not saying a word. Note to self, when someone you like tells you they like you, don't sit here like an idiot all silent like. This was going to change everything, and I can't say that I wasn't excited for absolutely everything that was going to happen. Of course not, I exclaimed a bit too overzealously. He chuckled. Well, I'm glad. I find you very interesting, Caroline, and I couldn't help but like you after hearing all the things you have gone through, and you are still trying to get your life together, he explained. I smiled. I'm glad you like me because The doorbell cut me off. Looks like pizza is here, and what perfect timing, too. I frowned at the door, getting up to open it. I paid the pizza deliverer and sat back down. That smells amazing. All right, let's get this movie night started, he said enthusiastically. Well, there goes my confession of telling him I liked him, too, down the drain. Worst pizza delivery timing ever. The movie was the same as it always was, Brendan Fraser saving the lovely Rachel Weisz. I couldn't help but think about Dean swooshing in to save me from mummies trying to take over the world. That would be a stretch, I giggled to myself, causing Dean to look over at me. What? He asked. Oops. Looking at him like a child caught with their hand in the cookie jar, I finally answered him. Sorry, I was just daydreaming about something for a minute there. It caused me to laugh. His face became full of curiosity. Glancing from the movie to me, he seemed to catch on, and then just started smiling. Busted! After the movie was finished, we started talking once more. It was easy to talk to him, like breathing. After talking about movies that we liked, we had both realized we had a few things in common in movie genres. We both loved horror movies and certain action series like the old Indiana Jones movies. His face became serious after a little while. I wanted to ask you something, but I didn't know how to go about it. Ask away, I'm an open book, I said, smiling, then faced him, crossing my legs. Well, I was wondering if you were okay. My face became confused. What do you mean? It was just the way you looked when I saw you at Chuck's today. You looked worn down and different. My makeup obviously didn't cover up the black under eyes. I mean, they were prominent, so I could understand the makeup didn't cover all of it, but I never expected Dean to notice. Oh, that. I just haven't been sleeping properly. It's okay, though. I'm fine, I replied, trying to sound not full of worry. He suddenly grabbed both of my hands. You don't have to do that, you know. You don't have to pretend with me that everything is fine with you, when clearly you are struggling. I'm not struggling, I protested. Tell me why you weren't sleeping. I want you to tell me everything so I know how to help you. I looked down. But that's the thing. You can help me. Not with this. I raised my head again to him. The trial? Sure. Putting Curtis away? Sure. But this is something that is much bigger than you. He shook his head slowly and sighed. Just because that disgrace of a man hurt you doesn't mean every man will. I'm sitting here and telling you I want to help you. So please explain to me what's going on. I have constant nightmares, okay? It is a mixture of flashbacks of things that Curtis has done, but new nightmares as well. I don't exactly know how I react because I'm sleeping, but I wake up drenched in sweat. My face looks like I haven't had a good night's sleep in 20 years. That's why I looked the way I did. They stopped for a while 2 months ago after I moved to Brooklyn, but then the whole Curtis trying to kill me incident brought everything back. I don't have anyone here to help me through it, I explained. His thumb rubbed my hand as he listened attentively. You have me. I know it must be hard for you, but I can help you if you'll let me. I was completely flattered by the idea of him being worried enough to try and help me to be the best of his ability. I mean, I guess, but again, I don't know how you would even help me, you know? I mean, there's dreams, Dean. There isn't much you can really do about them, he pondered. Well, have you thought about talking to someone? I chuckled. You and Jacob are more alike than I thought. He said the exact same thing. He is right. You should talk to someone about this. I stood up, pointing to my calendar. I am talking to someone. See this? I said, pointing to the appointment next week. I am seeing a psychiatrist soon. Dr. A. Richards? Heard of her? He nodded. Yeah, actually. I heard she's really good. He really is like Jacob, because he said that too. I rolled my eyes at the thought of them being two peas in a pod. I mean, I think they could be good friends if they gave it a chance and spoke more than a few sentences to one another. So, until then, there isn't much I can do, or you for that matter. He stood up as well. That's not necessarily true. There is one solution that I could think of right now. You said you don't have anyone to help you, and you don't know how you react because you're sleeping and all alone, right? He asked. Yeah? He smiled. Well, there's our solution right there. Someone must be with you. Someone has to chase away those bad dreams. I'm going to be that person. That is how I'm going to help you. After all his explaining, my head started to spin in all the different possibilities of what he could possibly mean at that point in time. What? I asked, confused, trying to understand what he means. I am going to stay over, he announced.